Welcome, and thank you so much for clicking on my video. Today, we're going to get you guys some updated daily expected moves as we approach that weekly expected move. We were not able to get the 2-hour pullback, but maybe the 2-hour pullback will still be the next really good opportunity. But until then, we got to be watching our 30-minute charts, which means we have to get into the shorter time frames. We have to pay attention to the fact that a daily divergence can form here on the MACD and RSI, but we have a little bit of time here to go in that upward direction as it stands for the time being. So let's get into it. Before we get into all of that analysis, let's just make sure that you have these on your charts, especially if you have two screens. It really helps you out to have these 648.04 to the upside. The daily expected moves are in red, the monthly expected moves are in yellow, and the weekly expected moves are in purple, just so you are aware. But to the downside, we see 641.74. If you want to pause, you like to trade the spine, you want to pause to get these levels on your charts before continuing, I totally understand, but we are going to bounce over to the Qs where we have those smaller implied moves as well. We do see 584.18. So if we're going to go through something a little crazy with this data, it would be rather unexpected by the market at this point. 576.51 to the downside. This would be your last moment to maybe pause and get these levels on your charts as we flip back over to the SPY and get into some technical analysis. Now, the signals were suggesting that we could turn down, but it's a good thing we have the management for the trade. We were able to get to that daily expected move, and this is why you didn't really need an update yesterday, because it wasn't necessary. We knew that if this was able to push higher, the thing that was going to happen was squeeze, right? We're going to continue to squeeze. So as we do confirm things, we start to squeeze. Makes total sense, and now we're heading to that upward move. All of this was stated, and therefore the next real opportunity might be the fact that we need to go to this weekly expected move, maybe by the end of the week, and see a 2-hour pullback. A 2-hour pullback in positive territory does not have to happen right now. We can just continue to squeeze, especially with data drops and things like that. But the next real opportunity to, I think, get into this, if you are a trader like myself that likes 2-hour swing trades, would be for that 2-hour pullback. So we will be paying attention to that. Now, that being said, we need to see, is the 30-minute really shaping up? Like, are we going to see that pullback right now? Are we going to see a 2-hour pullback right now? And the answer to that question is, with how it shapes up, you would suggest not necessarily, right? You would suggest watching the reaction to the data tomorrow, because if it gives you that 2-hour pullback and we break down for some time, then we might be able to see that upside move. So the 30-minute is in positive territory. You can see there is no divergence on the MACD. There is no divergence on the RSI, which means we are very likely to just pull back maybe into a daily expected move and see another curl up. Then maybe on Friday, we can set that weekend trap to get the 2-hour pullback that then ends up shooting us up into OpX. It will be a market, because we have to remake signals. It is most likely going to be a time where we have to remake those signals for the SPY, even though there are some stocks that we talked about on Patreon, like NVIDIA, that aren't necessarily the happiest with their signals right now. So there are some stocks shouting out, hey, you got to be cautious in these areas. But the SPY has extended and squeezed. So until we make reversal signals, it is very, very probable to continue to the upside, which means any kind of dip I get, I can maybe buy. Any kind of 2-hour dip I get, I can take a nice 2-hour swing trade. So as you see, positive territory. What I would look for is, usually this likes to get down by that center line, right? Down by the center line, a little closer to the center line here before it's able to curl up, giving the management for the trade saying, hey, flip the script. We're still bullish here. Get those calls because we're heading to the upside. The same thing can be stated again, possibly after tomorrow. So I will update Patreon accordingly if I do see a swing trade set up, especially on the 2-hour chart. 30-minute is more for, I would say, if you're taking on the 30-minute, it's more for a quicker trade. I don't like to do those. I like to do 2-week to 2-month plays. So a 2-hour swing trade, I do like to take up to 3 to 4 weeks for that, just so you are aware. So if you really wanted to treat this simply, this is very likely to continue. And even if it does create a reversal signal on the 30-minute and you see a divergence here on your MACD by the end of the week, that actually is more likely to just be a 2-hour pullback, which a lot of the 2-hour pullbacks we've seen with this market haven't necessarily looked like this, but actually have been kind of sideways, right? Kind of sideways and then up, right? As they get to that center line. If we go back through this a little bit longer, you'll see sideways, slide down into up. You'll see over here a little bit of volatility came in. Thank you to the 30-minute divergence right here to make the play very easy. And we see that head to the upside again. So the next real opportunity for the 2-hour chart would most likely be when that 2-hour is close to that center line, whether it is a pullback with time, aka moving sideways, or whether that is actually dropping in price to go retest a 50 or something like that. it will potentially be the more probable opportunity to see some upside. Where would we be looking for the 2-hour to get to? If it is able to pull back, we continue to squeeze, we pull back in some way, well, then we would be looking for the monthly expected move potentially by August 22nd or the end of the month. You can see this as well from the Qs, just in positive territory. Yeah, you could consider this an extended over divergence, and we could just experience that 2-hour pullback now with data. That is a possibility. That's why I'm mentioning both now. But for now, we see that this is positive. This is still above here. We still have a day's worth of price action before that could potentially get by that center line. And really, if the data is good, we could always just see that start to head up again and not get the 2-hour pullback for a little bit of time. So if we wanted to break down in some kind of little ABC to get to the 5-day, and then we're able to curl back to the upside, then we would overall be looking for the real divergence to show its face. And maybe we're able to see that by Friday close, and then we set up the 2-hour that convinces people that it's really going to drop. But if this move right here doesn't drop through the floor, but reverses around and the 2-hour is able to remain positive, then it is very likely that the Qs are heading to the monthly expected move by August 22nd, or the end of the month. So I just wanted you to know that this most likely will continue as it stands, even though volatility is positioning like it's going to remain at the level it is at right now. So the 2-hour chart, how do we make this really simple for you? It would say, look for that sideways, that pullback with time, look for the pullback with price, so that we can come into these type of levels and then curl to the upside. Creating a 2-hour divergence would be what we're looking for some kind of trap at the end of the month if September is going to be a little bit rough. But for now, we don't see that. We just see the potential for pullbacks and the potential for continuation. So that is what it shapes up to be. This is still, at this point, not able to break down with this type of move right here, but making new highs instead. So it is very likely that this market is going to remain bullish for a bit of time. I did want to talk about VIX. You do see this small little divergence, not necessarily on your MACD. Actually, I don't even think it's there. So you see that VIX would most likely need to remake these signals, okay? When I first glanced at it, when I was clicking through before I started filming, it kind of looked to me like it was there, but you notice that it's still down on the RSI, still down. So this really will need to be a time where we see those 2-hour divergences pop up. And the thing about the 30-minute here is, yes, we can see the 30-minute create some kind of divergence. Maybe starting tomorrow, maybe PPI is some kind of trap to the upside, right? But we would really like to see volatility get some kind of little pop here and then drop back down to actually create that divergence a little bit better. Volatility is not shaping up like it's going to absolutely skyrocket. What we would need from volatility to really tell us, like, yes, we are making a lower high on the SPY, or yes, we are making a higher high for volatility, or some kind of divergence. We would need that to shape up. As it stands, the daily signal is still holding, and I think this will hold, and we'll see little pops in volatility, so it does hold with the data by the end of the month. I think that this could hold for a whole week and a half, and we could just keep doodling around in this area before we're able to see that volatility come in. Now, that is potential for September. We don't know the future. We have to watch the market prove itself. It proved itself just a couple of days ago with CPI. I think that was an overly bullish reaction, considering CPI still was elevated, and we haven't seen that come down really at all in the last readings. So I still believe that people are overall ignoring a lot of the risk, and maybe they are FOMOing to the FOMOers. Right now, it's like FOMOers are benefiting. They're still happy holding on to things. And the people who are really, really, really getting the FOMO are starting to jump in. And that's how I see it. And that's how I think August will shape up, is we are going to see continued FOMO all the way into the end of the month, which is a good thing. If you get a 2-hour pullback and you know that people are overly bullish and you see a confirmation, there is swing trades available. You are in a bullish market, so swing trades should still be very, very good. But for now, we are able, as long as we are able to hold these points, and as long as the RSI is able to hold this point right here, I'm going to keep saying, I don't think we can sleep on the fact that volatility could just snap in at any time. And most likely this is a massive trap before a pullback. And because the SPY has headed up for so long without, not pullback, sorry, retracement. We've gotten little pullbacks, right? We've gotten little pullbacks in these times, little pullbacks. But What I'm talking about is a retracement, and that's why I have not moved this circle, if you notice. I still think we have potential to end up there, maybe even by September's expiration. So if you see we've gone up for some time with no retracement, if we are going to get a retracement, we would need signals for that. But for now, I think the main thing that we wanted to get across in this video is the 2-hour opportunity seems like a good one. So for me, I am overall looking for 30-minute pullbacks or 2-hour pullbacks in order to take a trade at this point. I wanted to mention a few stocks that I think are fun, right? I think if we are going to see just a blast off and things like that, I think AMC is pretty interesting. You are getting a daily confirmation here relatively close to the center line. It is a 0% day, so it's not necessarily the best confirmation with price, but you are seeing it from the RSI crossing the center line. You are seeing it from the MACD cross the signal line, but not necessarily crossing the center line at this point. It's just one to keep your eye on. It can easily roll and things like that in the shorter time frames. But GME, I really like GME here still. I think that it has held this divergence, this double bottom for a long time. It might be one that just gets a reaction to the 200 and fails, but it would be very, very nice for GME to see a nice move here because it has been bottled up and you saw a big reaction down. So do you not think you can get big reactions up? That's right. The last time you saw a 2-hour divergence or a 2-hour divergence with a daily divergence behind it at the same time, boom, to the upside. Now you're getting a daily divergence and a 2-hour higher low, which is pretty much just as good. The next one I wanted to mention was DJT. DJT has a sneaky divergence here, and I'm wondering if Trump's about to do something sneaky to get people to get excited about it. You do see the daily divergence, these two lows, but the MACD is higher. You have divergence there, and you have a flat divergence on your RSI. This is a pretty good signal, and it would say, hey, you know, every single play should have a plan for if it goes wrong. But I really, really like the close at the end of the day, how it's just at the high of the bar. I like that we confirmed on the MACD above all these moving averages here, right? We still have the 200 looming above us, so watch out for resistances. But you also have divergence, and this MACD is very close to the center line, so I do like that one. There was one more that I wanted to point out, and that was actually Kohl's. Kohl's was able to see some kind of retracement. I actually was in this move, able to make a nice percentage, obviously with not a large amount of money. I play these for fun, but you did get a confirmation from the daily MACD. So we're getting all of these small stocks that are confirming all of these things at the same time. Does this mean that the market is going to skyrocket up or skyrocket down? I have to be honest with you, I don't know. All I see is a good daily confirmation. I see the ability to squeeze going into that above that like 70 level, which is very, very nice. We've seen a nice move from it before. We saw a nice retracement exactly to where you would want to go down to for the price action analysis. And you're seeing the next move above the 200. So I just wanted to point out this confirmation. If these things do fail, then they can so have a plan for if it goes wrong, right? They can all fail. They can see 2 hours curl down and things like that. But I just wanted to end the video here with talking about some fun ones and then remind you guys of what overall seems to be the most probable for the SPY. I think that the really, really good opportunity is letting this thing FOMO everyone out, letting it pull back down to then get that 2-hour play to the upside for the target of the monthly expected move. I think that would be fantastic, and you have potential to hit that by August 22nd. To be honest, but this might take until the end of the month, just so you are aware. I think that's the best thing to pay attention to, but I know people like to play things a little bit quicker than I do. So if you're one of those people, I'm still watching this 30-minute chart, looking at the MACD that has extended to the upside high enough into positive territory for the MACD and RSI that it could just be a 30-minute pullback, maybe even a down to the daily expected move, and you see that curl to the upside, and we end up getting fully to the weekly expected move of 647.51 by Friday close, setting up some kind of some kind of potential trap. If we do not see something like this, though, don't sit there and think it's some kind of trap. It can be a 30-minute pullback again. So we will update these videos as the market continues to prove itself. But it seems that's the main takeaway here is 30-minute pullback should be met up with buyer demand. 2-hour pullback should be met up with buyer demand, barring something absolutely crazy happening with the data, barring something random happening out there, which the only thing that would kind of suggest that is maybe the 30-minute double bottom here for volatility, but it doesn't look like a signal that really would cause some major volatility. It looks like something that can cause volatility for a moment and then start to subside. So wanted to give you guys the full breakdown at the end of the video. I hope that you were able to take something helpful away from this video, even if it's just getting some daily expected moves, as those have been very, very nice to us. We have hit them and actually closed slightly above them one day, and then we hit one today, which is very, very nice. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this community. Thank you guys for liking and subscribing. We have courses that are 90% off down in the description if you would like to check it out. The full technical analysis course is one that will teach you a lot of what we're talking about here. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great night and are able to spend some time with family. Peace out.